Another Saturday night, and I ain't got nobody. Welcome to the club, Mr. Cook. Poor old Sam did eventually find some accompaniment to take to motels, where he ended up getting shot. None of these vowel harmony enthusiasts would even recognize the name of a proper singer, Sam Cooke. Right, I have two things to sort out tonight. I have to look into the possibility of going on a holiday. I haven't left Ireland in almost a decade, and if I wait until I have someone to go with, I'll end up on a price comparison website for pensioner cruises. The other thing I have to do is find a suitable driving instructor in advance of booking my first driving lesson. Well, technically my fourth. I actually had 3 way back in my 20s with driving extraordinaire Molly Ambrose. She just got me to drive wherever suited her daily errands. She claimed the best turnabout spot was, rather conveniently, beside the vet where she made me drop off her cat. She's probably the only driving instructor who insists on practicing driving through drive-thrus, which might be believable had she not ordered a Big Mac meal and started gobbling it up as I sat struggling to calibrate the power of the accelerator. I'll choose an alternative instructor following a thorough examination of online reviews. Trevor Brophy. This guy has bought his own domain. That shows he takes it seriously. He's even posted test routes on his site. Let's see his average rating. 4.3 out of 5. That's not great. Next, Dermot Glass. This guy has a 4.6 rating, but he doesn't have his own domain. He seems to operate mostly through his Facebook account. Old school, but that's not an issue for me. Let's see. A profile picture of a car and "You're bound to pass with Dermot Glass," spelt Y-O-U-R instead of Y-O-U''R-E. A catchy slogan is always welcome. Using incorrect spelling, not so much. Next, Marty Kodire Motoring. His rating is 5 out of 5, somewhat mitigated by the paltry total of 12 reviews. No sign of a catchy slogan, with correct spelling or otherwise. Maybe I should just book this now. If I do a deep dive of his social media accounts, I run the risk of discovering something horrifying, like unfettered use of the Oxford comma, which would of course rule him out of the running. I've already discarded 10 instructors. If I keep digging for dirt, I'll end up having to learn to drive in Leitrim. This is my plan for the week. Wednesday, Thursday and Friday, nothing. As always. Monday, a driving lesson with Marty Kodire. Tuesday, Loner Club. 2 different house exits in the same week. This is the absurdest life. If that wasn't enough, I've decided that I will indeed go on a holiday to Madrid and will use one of my 3 days of nothingness to organise it. That's the plan anyway. I may not have survived college long enough to get a degree, but I feel like I have a PhD in procrastination. I'm far from the booking stage, but I have at least looked at options. There's a route from Shannon to Madrid with Air Cullen. They don't have a great reputation, but many customers say that you get what you pay for. And that works if you imagine that you're paying to be brought somewhere, not necessarily to be brought somewhere at a specific time. I've also debated which type of accommodation to book. Where do people stay when they travel alone? Most hotels seem to offer big double beds for what look like couple prices. As for motels, I can't imagine anyone staying in a motel alone, apart from peeping toms and people who get stood up. Youth hostels are another option, but I don't know if I still qualify as a youth now that I'm in my 30s. I suppose I could ask the lads at Loner Club about their experiences. If they've been to Madrid, I'm sure they'll be able to give me a detailed breakdown of the cheapest way of doing the trip. This is the meeting point, and this is the meeting time. At any moment now, I should see a silver cart with a driving instructor panel above it. Marty Kodire. I imagine him to be an avuncular man with grey hair and a laissez-faire approach to roundabouts. That's the disadvantage of being terrified of calling someone. You could never get an idea of what someone's like based on a few WhatsApp messages. Here he comes. I approach the vehicle, but he keeps on driving past me. Realising I was approaching him, he stops.
Finn, is it? Sorry, I didn't see you there. Hop in.
Fuck, he's young. I should have trolled his social media accounts. I'm going to have to do some explaining. Sorry, you probably didn't expect to see a learner in their 30s.
No, I genuinely didn't see you there. That might be a good introduction to blind spots.
Still though, you probably don't get many learners as old as me. Marty looks puzzled.
I've only just met you.
He laughs.
I haven't even thought about your age in the 30 seconds I've known you. So, have you had any lessons before?
Yeah, 3, but they were about 10 years ago.
Alright. So we can head out on the road then?
Terror. I don't remember anything from my driving lessons apart from the pedals and the handbrake. He's being incredibly reckless. He expects me to operate this vehicle like a normal road user. Right, I'm going to prepare my statement for the trial. I knew I couldn't drive, but he forced me to take the car out at knife point. He's of an age profile where that might sort of just about make sense. Let the disaster commence. Tip the foot brake and we're done. That was an amazing driving lesson. He's a really good instructor, nothing like Molly Ambrose. Today I did a few spins around the suburbs of Limerick. I actually drove a car on the open road without experiencing paralysis. This is incredible progress.
So the best thing you can do is get insured and you can practice everything we do in the lesson. All you need is a car and someone who's had a full licence for 2 years beside you.
Right. Car? No. Someone? No. Well, maybe, but who? I don't think Christoph can drive. I know Dominic can't. And Luke says he can drive, but Luke says lots of things. Plus, getting into a car with Luke means non-stop surround sound and singing.
You actually have an agreement with an insurance company. If I tell them that you're my student, they'll give you the best deal.
I thought premiums depended on your profile and dozens of risk factors, and not just who you know. Fuck it. I'm not going to cure the world of quasi-nepotism. If it's a good deal, I'll take it. I'll worry about the car and driver later. Here we are, Loner Club. The conversation is very stop-start tonight. No matches, no fights, no religious talk. This is my opportunity to push the first of the two things I want to talk about tonight. I've decided to go on a trip to Madrid.
Spain? Nice. You should go to O'Malley's pub.
Is it in the city centre?
It is, yeah. The city centre of Malaga.
I look at him confusedly.
You should definitely go there. They have a pool table.
Madrid and Malaga are hours apart. Luke seems to expect me to make that journey in order to visit a pub, on the basis of it having a pool table. The best thing to do with Luke's travel advice is to just play along with it. He gets very ratty when people visit places he's been without attempting to follow his path step for step. I might just let a travel agent sort it all out, I say. I don't know, a lot of them got single supplement, replies Dominic. Yes, Dominic, loner tax. That's part of being a loner. We're less lucrative than people who have friends. We have no one to impress, no one to spoil. Plus, the way Dominic is with money, they could have a €500 single supplement and they'd still make a loss on him. We should go on an LC holiday sometime, suggests Dominic.
Oh yeah, Elsie does EOS. I'm loving it, says Luke. We can do the booze cruise.
Sounds like a seaborne nightmare of booming music and seasickness.
There's one for your bucket list, Hardnett,
says Luke. Dominic looks confused.
Let's write down our bucket lists.
The lads produce their phones and get to work. I follow suit. Number 1, make some friends. Number 2, never have to come to Loner Club again. Number 3, learn to drive. This mental list is depressing. I'll just write 10 sites that normal people are drawn towards. Paris, Las Vegas, and so on. Or 9 normie sites and finish with learn to drive as a segue to finding out if either of them can help me. How many do we have to write?
I'm on 15, but I've a few to go.
I've only got 3.
Only 3? You've no imagination.
I've got the one with the dual spout, the industrial pail, and the classic screw top.
Nice. I've got Anfield, the Super Bowl, Ibiza, EOS, the world.
Dominic got lucky there. Luke is the most passive listener ever. He was so into his own bucket list that he didn't notice that Dominic wrote an actual list of types of bucket and just said, nice, as a prelude to talking about himself. I'm not exactly actively listening to Luke right now, but I can hear that he's just naming big cities and sporting events.
Your turn, Rossiter.
Paris, Vegas, New York, Greek islands, Barcelona, Venice. Shit, I only got 6 locations. And to learn to drive. On that note, I need an accompanying driver with 2 years' experience. Do you know anyone? Dominic contorts his face as if to say, you know I can't help you there.
The only way to learn to drive is by getting lessons. I learned to drive from a fine cougar named Molly.
Molly Ambrose? I ask in shock.
Yeah, she was the best.
Oh, how many lessons did it take to pass your test?
I learned to drive, not to do a test.
€40 an hour to run whimsical errands with no exam emphasis. He was essentially paying someone to hang out with him. I suppose if you're going to pay someone to hang out with you, a driving instructor is at least more economical than a psychologist or a prostitute. More importantly, if Luke never did his test, then I now have confirmation that the Loner Club lads are of no use to me whatsoever in my efforts to learn to drive. I'm insured. It turns out Marty wasn't lying when he said he could get me the best deal. As for my accompanying driver, desperate times call for desperate measures. I need to learn to drive. I need to experience short-term humiliation to avoid humiliation in the long term. It will all be worth it.
Fool!
My mother is bringing me to the area that Marty brought me, asking hundreds of questions in the process. I remain tight-lipped about the youthful instructor and how I ended up picking him, so Nuala starts on more random small talk.
Did you watch this fight they're all on about?
Yeah, Madden got battered. He's not very popular.
Well, I wouldn't be a fan of it. Although, he's not as bad as that golfer who cheated on his wife. He hasn't won anything since.
Who?
That young lad with the crooked teeth did the dirt on that lovely girl.
Never remembers a name, never forgets a scandal. That's Nuala's law. Realising that we'll never be able to establish the identity of this unfaithful golfer, she starts on the impending summer.
Are you going to holidays this year, Finn?
Probably, yeah.
Where are you going?
Maybe Spain.
Oh, is it safe?
Well, it's not worse than anywhere else.
What about Etta?
ETA?
Yeah, they're a terrorist group.
I know who they are. Well, I know who they were. They haven't been active for 20 or 30 years.
Oh, can I have a shot?
That's ridiculous. How would you feel if a Spanish person refused to come to Ireland because of the IRA?
I'd feel delighted that someone else recognises the danger of German terrorists.
I've made up my mind. I'll just sit in silence. The whole way there, the part when I'm driving, and the whole way back. Nuala starts going on about the importance of Factor 50 sun cream, but I don't even acknowledge her. You can't really use skin cancer to scare someone who's unlikely to leave his hotel room. If she really wants to scare me, she should start quoting statistics about hotel collapses. Having given up on sun cream, Nuala lets me enjoy a few minutes of silence before bringing it to a grinding halt by turning on the radio. This is driving practice. How am I supposed to concentrate with this noise?
It's just Terry Shine. I haven't missed an episode since the Pope's visit.
I'm subjected to a few ads and radio riffs before the familiar, well, not to me, voice of Terry Shine seeps out of the speakers.
Time to shine with your host, me, Terry Shine. On today's show, we'll be talking all things fish tanks with expert Barry Mulpeter, and following Garden World's controversial top 10 types of magnolia, we'll be responding with our own list. And we've been calling them rich tea biscuits for decades, but recent research suggests they might actually go better with coffee. It's time to shine.
Do we have to listen to this?
It's Terry Shine, Finn. He's won awards.
We arrive at where Marty brought me, a looping housing estate with abundant left and right turns, as well as a perfect reverse around the corner spot. We do a few laps of the housing estate, as I struggle to mentally distill Nuala's instructions from the shiny noise pollution. Nuala is absolutely terrified, and in addition to gripping onto the door handle for dear life, she has started operating an invisible and woefully ineffective foot brake from the passenger seat. We reach a top speed of 25 kilometers per hour, at which point Nuala starts to enter panic mode.
It's 30 here, Finn.
Yeah, that's why I'm doing 25.
You're doing 30, Finn.
She's right in the sense that the dial isn't quite at 25. It's probably about 23.5. Even for Nuala Rossiter, this is an unreasonable level of stubbornness. I think I've worked it out. It takes me back to the days of Dr. Reedy's science class. He used to roar, "That's the error of parallax!" when people took a reading from the wrong perspective. I calculate that if I dropped my speed to 20 kilometers per hour, I would have accounted for the error of parallax. I mean, I shouldn't have to, but it's the only way she'll calm down. We managed to survive our foray into estate driving, and I stopped the car near the reverse around the corner spot. This is the place to practice the reverse around the corner, I declare. Nuala looks absolutely terrified.
Not here.
Why not?
What do you mean, why not? This is where the Hineses live.
Who?
The Hineses. You know the Hineses. The young lad Ulton. He was in your year, wasn't he?
I have no idea who you're talking about.
Ulton Hines. He had his third child a few months ago.
The driving instructor said this is the best place to practice.
We are not practicing here. I'll bring you to an industrial estate, Finn.
Why can't we practice here? Do you really want behind to say, oh, look at that pathetic Finn Russell ready to drive with his mammy in his 30s? Ma'am, that's not what I'm saying. It's what they're saying.
No, they're not.
How do you know what they're saying? This question, asked with zero awareness of the irony, is too much for me. I unbuckle my seatbelt and open the door. Finn, where are you going? I walk right past what I assume is the Hines' house and do my best to zone out. This is cut short when Nuala appears beside me and tries to match my walking pace in her car. I really want to get away from her, but I do actually need her to give me a lift home, so I'm not really in a position to storm off. We reach a group of teenagers who look confusedly at the grey-haired woman attempting to abduct a man in his 30s. I begrudgingly approach the car, and Nuala stops to let me in. There's a lovely industrial estate over the bridge. We can practice there. Just bring me home. Ah, Finn, you'll never learn to drive if you're going to be like that. I'm not the one worried about the Hineses. You caused this. I do you a favour. This is always a mental hurdle for me. Despite the palpable dearth of evidence, Nuala often tells me that I have a great life and plenty to live for. Such a great life that she feels the need to hide me from everyone. I know I'm not a poster boy son like this Alton Hines guy, but you can't tell me I have a great life when you're so blatantly ashamed by my existence. It reminds me of when I was young. On the very extremely rare occasion that we had visitors, Nuala would hide all the shopping bags from discount German supermarkets instead of standing by her decision to frequent cheap but of reasonable quality emporiums. Our visitors wouldn't have been from privileged backgrounds. It was just a case of Nuala holding herself to imaginary standards that no one would expect of anyone else. I don't think anyone would blame her for how I turned out. An intelligent only child raised in relatively comfortable conditions. It wasn't a perfect childhood, but Nuala and Eugene did their best with Mr. McGovern. His priority wasn't to make sure everyone felt safe at school. It was the early noughties. He didn't want the school teams to line out without Liam Kavanagh. He couldn't leave a legacy of the principal who stopped us from winning the Hearty Cup. Think of the backlash he would have faced. He certainly didn't want any problems with the Quinlans. The local press would tell you all about what happened to people who crossed them. We've been travelling in silence for about 10 minutes. Nuala has given up on the industrial estate, and we're on our way to my dwelling. I think I can put driving alongside religious retreats and boxing pay-per-views on the growing list of things that are not for me. Let's see if solo travel to Spain belongs on that list. I need to get away from all this. I'm going to book my flight as soon as I get home.
I was born one morning, the rain a-pouring down. Heard my mammy say to my pappy, let's call him John Henry Brown. Walk on, boy, walk on down